Right at you.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to explain this to podcast. I'm going to put a bit of lipstick on. I look very pale.
Who does?
Me.
Oh, I thought you were going to put some lipstick on me.
No.
And now you've stood up. We're really backlit. That's annoying. Morning, everyone. How are you? Morning, Sean Boy Joe. Not seen your name here before. Can't believe I've made it for my birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shawnee. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, guys. Oh, bit of lippy going on. Is that lipstick? See, I wouldn't. What happened to the old?
Oh, well, there's all kinds of lipstick now. Oh,
Rather
God.
than
It's quite a clear one, actually. Makes no difference, does it?
I was going to say, nothing's changed. I can see clear. Okay, morning, everyone. I just want to ask everyone, how is everyone feeling this morning? I've got the right side of my head is really bunged up. I've got sort of like cement hanging on the right side of my head.
Coming. Everyone's getting ill.
What do you think?
So take extra vitamin D, extra vitamin C. He won't do any of this. Extra vitamin C.
I've taken vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, iron.
This morning?
Yes.
What kind of iron? Where did you get your iron from?
The one that Gut Hannah told me to get.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. That's highly
I
recommended.
listen to the teachers. Teachers? Morning, everyone. How are we? Hang on a minute. If we were at the water cooler right now, who'd be saying, are you watching the Phillips Schofield tonight?
Well.
Are you watching the Phillips Schofield?
Well, tonight? I will definitely be watching the Phillips Schofield. I'm very interested to hear how he was thrown under the bus. When actually he spent years and years telling everybody at work that
there are no buses.
There was nothing going on.
There's no buses.
So I can't wait to see. It's so interesting that he's interviewing himself.
It's really weird.
Can you ask yourself a difficult question?
I don't think you can. Not really.
When you're also going to be part of the edit and the filming.
Not really. That's why group therapy is good, because you're presented and you have reflected back challenges to what you say. I have heard little clips though. He sounds really odd the way he
What's he saying?
Well, he's ruminating a lot to himself. I mean,
of course he's on a bloody desert island.
No, I know. But I have to say the whole thing potentially runs the risk of amounting to him sounding absolutely insane. Sort of gibbering, jabber.
No, it's a busy night tonight on television because there is that. And then there is, of course, I'm sure many of you have seen and are going to bring this up.
Naked dating.
If I have been sent one message, I have been sent 20 about the panorama tonight where Louise Newson, very well-known menopause doctor, my menopause doctor, on many shows and radio shows, and magazines and websites, has had an investigation by Panorama into her.
You're joking.
And actually, having just read one of the articles and Louise's response is all things that Louise has spoken about before. So, we know that she does get, I mean, like for instance, my testosterone is given off license because...
Right.
And I knew that, and she, it is off license. The off license thing sounds weird, I suppose, but there are many medications that are given off license. So there might be license for one thing, but a doctor will give them for something else.
But you have to be qualified to do that.
Of course you do, yeah. So I'll be watching that tonight. But so far, everything that I've seen, I knew already.
Right.
Because she does give higher doses.
I mean, I don't want to prejudge, and I've seen some of the stories swirling around. Could this could be, and we don't know until we've watched the documentary, but could this simply be one of those processes where the very thing she's about is what others are finding? So, for example,
she's always
alternative medicine, not alternative, but you know what I mean? If you take a different approach to the mainstream, everyone goes, "Oh, you're wrong."
Yeah.
That sort of
So far, what I've read, but obviously everything that's going to be in that program, then it's not going to be revealed. What I've read so far is what I knew already. So let's wait and see.
Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Yeah. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about a really weird story about Kyle Walker, the footballer's wife, who's
is he very famous?
Yeah. Who's basically said, give us 15 million and I'll stay married to you. The headline doesn't make sense. The story doesn't make sense. So we're gonna break into that and see if it makes any sense to any of you. Broken iPhones. Do you have a cracked screen?
Carry on. And
cracked screens. And why women, principally, although not only women, feign concern. When feigning concern can actually be quite gossipy and bullying and horrible.
It's just the two different ways that men and women gossip, isn't it? It's quite interesting.
I think it's fascinating. It speaks
we
to
talked
so
about
much.
Gossip a few weeks ago, didn't we, on here?
But feigning concern is really interesting, and like
was trolls.
Yeah, and this piece kind of uses some sort of controlled kind of exercises or experiments to kind of put it to the test. So that's interesting. But before all of that, we're going to have just a brief mention. Just want to talk about the Israel-Lebanon crisis. Obviously, America is squealing for calm and de-escalation, but was sending not only $8.7 billion worth of weaponry, but in fact have quite proudly claimed, the bunker bombs that have been used in Lebanon to take out Hezbollah, and I think last night they took out the head of Hamas in Lebanon. These were supplied by America. America sort of quite proudly sort of saying, yeah, these are our bombs. These are actually the bombs. Do you remember when Biden had a moment where he said, we won't send something out if you can assure us they were the 2,000-pound bombs? These are they. But what seems to be getting lost underneath all of this is all happening within another sovereign country. It's really weird. It's really weird how no one is kind of observing the fact that actually, hang on a minute.
Well, every time, like last night, Sky News gave this rabid woman, God knows who she was. Never seen her before.
I hope I never see her again.
Of just going on and on about Israel as being a sovereign state and has a right to... Is Israel the only sovereign state in the Middle East?
No, as the Jordanian foreign minister said...
Well, they describe themselves as the only democratic one, which again is a fucking joke.
But the foreign minister for Jordan, his speech a couple of days ago at the United Nations was incredibly powerful. I mean, you rightly say it's all words. When's it going to change? He stood there and he said, we have 57 Arab Muslim nations who can guarantee that none of us want the security of Israel breached. But the only person blocking this is Netanyahu, because all he wants is war. Yes. He said he's trying to spin a narrative that they're isolated, they're under assault. Listen to this for a fact before anyone gets all kind of hot under the collar about this. Believe me, do you not think that if Israel was going through an existential crisis of existence, something more dramatic wouldn't have happened to them by now? I mean, who's there's no comparison. And before people say, yes, but Hezbollah have been firing, look, there is a sort of backdrop of constant tit for tat firing of missiles. Always has been. Israel occupied parts of Lebanon. There are still disputed parts of Lebanon. The Gaza Strip is an apartheid system. So this is a conflict because you have an occupying nation. So there's always going to be a low-level amount of strife and struggle. But the part of the whole Lebanon development in the last 2 days that really troubles me and I find really confusing, especially as we kind of step towards October the 7th, a year since this began, or this latest iteration of the crisis over there began. The idea that Israel can so precisely target all of the pagers, all of the walkie-talkies, then target with precise bombs individual buildings within highly densely populated cities in Beirut. The fact that they can do this with such precision, and they have obviously, they're talking about the fact that there's been a massive compromise of Hezbollah and Lebanese, the hierarchy. So intelligence, the Israeli intelligence has got in there fast. It's done an incredible. Are you trying to tell me seriously, given the scale of what they've managed to do in quite a sophisticated fashion, they had no knowledge of October the 7th, and they dropped the ball so spectacularly there? It seems the two do not add up. The scale of intricacy and precision on one side, and the complete destruction and scorched earth policy of the entire Gaza Strip and increasingly the West Bank. It doesn't stack up. There's an inconsistency here. And again, no journalists asking any questions of Israel whatsoever. Media. I mean, who remembers South Africa notified Netanyahu that the October the 7th attack was going to happen? Do you remember the 2 days?
And Egypt. Not Saudi, Egypt. But it's like I said to Mark this morning. We are having to use exactly the same words and exactly the same feelings that we have been doing over the last year in Gaza. It's just extended now into another sovereign state. And the response is exactly the same from Western leaders. We are doing everything that we can to call a ceasefire, to make a ceasefire happen, whilst the whole time arming constantly. Now, the Arab states are being very controlled, very well behaved, not getting into the fight. But where I was annoyed with the Jordanian speech, the speech from the Jordanian official, was that all these Arab countries are still doing business with Israel. Why are you doing business with them? That's what I just cannot understand. How can you do that when you're watching your brothers being, literally blown to pieces?
Because all of these countries are somehow hamstrung financially by America.
Thank you. Exactly.
They
so
are
we come back to all
in
of
the
it.
pocket. All of it is, the whole thing is stage managed by America.
Biden, the most despicable administration ever. Despicable genocidal maniac. But anyway, shall we move on?
So anyway, once again, Jeremy Corbyn posted the other day. I just want to share this graphic, this cartoon that's been spread around. It's quite interesting. You have Yemen, Lebanon, Gaza, and look, yes, the press are homing in on a crying baby in Israel.
Netanyahu. I want more money. I want more bombs. It's not fair. They might hurt me one day.
I'm going to prod, poke, bomb, blow up
the press. Only country in the world that's got a bloody great umbrella to make sure. I mean, it's just like, how much more money is the rest of the world going to give to Israel whilst they are doing these appalling
What are those strollers called that you put toddlers in so they bounce around homes but they can't reach anything? Walkers. It's like Israel has been given the biggest, most elaborate weaponized walker, and they are bashing around the Middle East. And whilst all of these other kind of countries are kind of trying to just tolerate it, they're held by the kind of bollocks by America. They're kind of like, pull them off. Their populations that on the street, the grassroots opposition is increasing all the time, which is why actually even the 57 countries that want there to be a normalized situation where Israel is safe and there's a two-state solution, they're struggling too, because their populations are just seeing such a discrepancy between the West's implementation of international law elsewhere and here. It's so gross. It's so gross.
International law is for the black and brown people.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
simple as that.
And just finally, on the note of it being a democracy, so let's say we can, sort of legally define Israel as a democracy. Okay, it's a democracy built on and defined by oppression. That's not really a democracy, as far as I'm concerned, or is it? Because so many Western democracies were built on the same premise. Anyway, on that note, Kyle Walker. This is he, footballer.
Does anyone know who he is?
Did he used to play for? I'm pretty sure he used to play for Tottenham.
Well, he's very bloody rich.
He plays for Manchester City, doesn't he? Defender.
He's unbelievably rich because basically he's had an affair with somebody called Lauren Goodman. Have you got a photo of her?
I think I have somewhere. He's not just had an affair.
And had 2 children with her.
On the quiet? How do you have children on the quiet?
Oh, well, loads of people do. But when you're that famous, it does seem incredible. It's great that he's got away with that.
Especially, didn't she turn up at the Euros or the World Cup with one of them with it said "Daddy" on his back of the England T-shirt or something?
I don't know. But anyway,
so he's been a naughty boy.
This is the news that's really confusing us. His wife has said, "Give me what you would have to give me in the divorce, which is half of your fortune. So give me 15 million."
Of your 27 million pound fortune.
And I will stay with you and work on our relationship.
How does that? Is she being facetious?
Now, what I said to Mark, the important thing here is, the distinction is here, is he begging for her to work on the marriage, in which case she's saying, well, I will work on it, but you've got to pay me 15 million quid. Or is she saying, I would take you for more than 15 million, but I'm going to take 15 million, and you've got to stick at the marriage, and you've got to work at the marriage. Who is saying to who that they want the marriage and who doesn't want the marriage?
Well, the problem here is this can only be a story with any effective leverage for her if he wants her desperately. That can be the only way this works.
What do you think it means? I've never heard of any of them, Stuart. No, neither have I. But I'm just interested in would you like say say, you know, your relationship has gone really tits up, and your partner is saying to you, okay, listen, let's just try one more time. Is it going to be a new thing where people say, okay, but you got to put your money where your mouth is. You've got to put your money where your mouth is, and you've got to give me X amount. Okay, in the real world, maybe it would be a couple of grand.
Yeah.
It happens to be 15 million with the footballers. But is there anything in that? Is it about like putting your commitment to it? Like, say, listen, we're going to get divorced, so give me less than it's going to cost the divorce, and therefore you're also giving me the commitment that you're going to work on the marriage.
It has to be less. Otherwise, I mean, look, let's not beat around the bush here. If I was coming in on this as a cod psychologist and I was in the dressing room half time, going up to Kyle Walker, going, what's going on here, Sonny Jim? I'd be like, do you want to be with her? And if he's like, well, because it doesn't look like you do, because you've had 2 kids with someone else. Are you going to sacrifice half your wealth for someone who possibly might stay with you, but could be a right pain in the neck for the rest of the time too?
Do you think that money can change hands to try and make somebody commit to a relationship? I mean, the thing is...
Minky Moo says maybe she has a lot more dirt on him.
Yeah. But the thing is, I mean, often people will stay with people because they don't want the cost of the divorce, even though they don't necessarily want them. Blokes.
Yeah.
And they will often have a bit on the side, because they don't want to lose half their fortune. It's I don't know. I think once you once money has to come into it, I think it's very difficult to get real trust. And how would she ever believe that he really wanted her to?
Well, and also, how does he not know that? I'm going to read your comment out, Travis. That so they say they strike the deal legally. Okay, I'll stay with it. Okay, and you can guarantee 50 million. So he carries on playing football, makes another load, and she gets half of that when they finally do divorce.
I'm sure there'd be a contract.
Double
What's
whammy.
this?
My ex broke up with me. If they wanted to get back with me, I'd want it as an insurance policy.
Wow. Interesting. You see, I think this might kick something off for people. I think when people have cheated and they want to try on with the marriage, this could be set a precedent where people say, okay, like Travis says there, but I want an insurance policy.
Yeah. And
it might not necessarily be about that money for the person, but it might be about they know how that person ticks. And if that person's money is involved, they might be more committed.
Absolutely. So a carrot and a stick situation. So in a weird way, it's like, well, this is going to be the settlement you're going to have to settle for anyway if we do divorce. You may as well make this work. And it would be nicer, maybe, from a truly holistic perspective, she's doing it for the children. Maybe she's thinking, forcing us together. Maybe she sees something there.
But maybe she knows him so well and the way that he ticks with money that he's not going to fuck up again if the money is involved. Who knows?
She's very hurt, says Jackie Pugh. So she's going to hit him in the pocket. Perhaps he only sees his wife and family's worth in pounds, shillings and pence. God, I don't know the word, the shilling.
I mean, the thing is, that is often the way, isn't it? People can look at others' situation when they might be battling in court about money but I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Jackie. I think often it's just about pain, and it's about how can I hurt this person in some way that's hurt me so terribly. I mean, it's like wills, isn't it? There is so often so much fighting over a will, and that's even when there's not a lot of money. Or say somebody says
it's an emotional fight.
Leave somebody out, because whether you like it or not, there is a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this the other day, and somebody at work was saying to me, she said, you see these? This wasn't at Loose Women, this was at another job. She goes, you see these bangles? This has caused the most unbelievable fractions and breakups in the family because I got these bangles. And so there's all these rowing and hurt and pain. Now, it's not about the finance of those bangles, is it? No. It's about, because often people will say to people, I'm going to leave you that. And then they forget that and they give it to somebody else. Then the fight can go on for decades.
But also it can be about where, it's not even to do with the item, it's to do with where you are in the pecking order. And for many people, like you say, that item, the watch, the symbol of some kind of, item of that person, remembrance, is a symbol of your importance to them. And so some people want that.
They say that you have to put everything down in the will, every single thing you own, to say who it's going to, because otherwise it will cause a fight.
Okay.
So maybe it's a bit of that going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anyone here who's got a cracked screen on their phone? I want to know what you think of having a cracked phone. If you went on a date and someone popped their phone on the table and it looked, I don't know, like that. Or,
well, this is actually a really good article that Mark found this morning. I was just reading it. Apparently 1 in 8 people would not go on a second date if somebody turned up. So I hadn't read this article, and Mark said to me, what do you think when you see a mashed up phone? And I went, oh. And I had to stop, and he went, what? I said, oh my God, loads of prejudices come to mind immediately. Because my immediate response when you see a mashed up phone is, I always assume the person has been pissed, hurled it at someone, dropped it off the bus. You know, when you drop the phone off the bus, it goes skidding. Chaotic. I would jump to so many judgments very, very quickly.
Would you? All negative? Well, I mean, how can they not be negative?
It's like if somebody's got really... it's like this person that I know, right? She's always had really manicured fingernails, and I don't give a shit about these things. As you see, I've never had my hands manicured or anything. But recently, over the last 6 months, all her nails are like really, really, like really chipped nail varnish and really like low. And I just keep thinking, I keep thinking that our whole life must have fallen to pieces.
Yeah. It's a symbol.
It's an immediate judgment. It's not something I'm going to carry on with my judgment of that person forever. But initial reaction is that.
See, I would imagine that you'd be the kind of person who would always have a cracked phone. That's weird, isn't it? I would have always seen you as that sort of person.
I've got another theory. Why it's much younger people whose phones break all the time is because they're always saying to you how uncool you are. Oh, you're so uncool, Mum. You've got a case, right? So both of our kids have cracked their phones. And why? Because they are made so slippery. Like, I think you're most at danger with your phone when you first get it. And you get it out of the box and it just slips out of your hand, doesn't it?
It really does.
Whereas even if you've just got a little edge like that,
okay, well, if I went on a date and a woman and I saw the woman had a cracked phone, the first thing I'd think is, oh, clearly she doesn't have any sort of personal items insurance. The first thing I think is,
which would be very important for you to be properly attracted.
I'd be thinking she's a raging alkie. Or her life is total chaos.
It's unbelievable.
The first thing I see when I see a broken phone is I don't know if this is because I think visually, I cut to the moment I imagine they dropped it, which is usually coming out of a club or going into a cab and calling it and throwing the phone across the room.
1 in 100 people's cracked phones are due to seagulls attacking them. That's what it said. I don't know if I believe that.
I mean,
but anyway, what about some of you? Do you have those? Now, again, we're not saying that would then carry on. I'm not going to like that person there, but it's just those immediate, like how we've been manipulated, conditioned by society.
I like Nicola Yakub's comment because this is this busy life, and it doesn't matter. It could look like someone who's been using their phone an awful lot. You're a much better person
than me.
So what you're saying, Nicola, is that basically you're so. I smashed my phone because I'm using it so much.
No. That she's so busy that she hasn't got it.
No, I'm joking. I mean, it's the cost. I also think, well, this is, for younger adults, it's an absolute nightmare because, of course, none of them have got insurance. Every parent's worst nightmare is when their kid comes up and goes,
come on, who ever claims on their insurance anymore?
Well, and also,
as soon as you decide to claim on insurance, then your insurance goes up. It's the biggest bloody nightmare.
But these phones cost so much money. They cost no time. Thank you. My grandson has dropped his again.
How much does it cost to get a new screen then?
Well, and also you've got to get it done properly by Apple, otherwise the whole thing doesn't work, or whatever the manufacturer of your phone is. I'd offer to buy him a new cover and tell him to get it fixed, and then we can discuss a second date. Oh, no. That's what kids are telling their parents. The seagulls broke it.
Yeah.
Oh, Natasha, I'd find out how long it had been cracked for. If it just happened, then fair enough. It was a while. I would just. But you can tell when a phone has been recently cracked.
But what is a while?
I think we should do an experiment where we have, you can get, you can get a screensaver, which is a cracked phone. We can see what people's response. I do think, I look at it, I'm sorry, I go skank.
There's another layer to this though. So say, for instance, my nephew, who I love the fact he's 25. I love the fact he's so unbothered by his phone. He just missed that generation. So he hardly ever looks at it. I never see it in his hand. I never see it anywhere near him.
He's the Facebook generation.
I never see his phone anywhere near him. God help you if you want to get in contact with him.
Yeah, there is a certain generation that they really don't need their phones.
Yeah, and he would crack his phone, and was it Nicola who was saying, he would just go, oh. God, it's cracked.
Yeah.
Let me just see. And that I would go, oh, yeah, I like that. You're just so unbothered. You're not going to buy Nike trainers so you can have a tick. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You're not a victim.
Yeah, there is that. But those people, if they're truly those people, they'll have some old-fashioned Motorola or some kind of Nokia or something like that. YouTube likes the fact that I call them a skank. Yes, skank.
Maddie's boyfriend hasn't got an Apple.
She's
sometimes a bit like that about it. I can see. She doesn't really say it, but he just goes, oh, I haven't got an Apple phone. He's got no shame. He's just like, he's in himself. He doesn't have a need to be flash.
The other thing I do notice as well is that some cracks, they're so wide, the cracks, you can see the germs hibernating in there. You think, I'm not going to use their phone. I
wish I could move away from Apple because I don't like the company.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
Well, I don't. And I don't like the awful minds and all of that. So, But what do you do? How do you run your life without an Apple phone when you're a media
personality?
When you're media people.
You can't, is basically the answer.
Guys, if anybody likes this, I saw it on I showed this on Saturday. Our friend Samia makes them, and she gives all the profits to Palestinian charity. You can wear it loads of different ways. You can wear it Dina was doing a whole load of things with it the other day. I'm not going to do it now because it'll bore you. But have a look on my Instagram stories. Go to Samia, Samia Art Style, and just DM her. She's a lovely woman. She just does loads of stuff for the community. She's not like a big business. As I say, the profits go to Palestinian charity. And she's just lovely. And she'd love more followers too. She's lost a lot of her family in Palestine since the military aggression. So if you could, Samia Art Style. Just follow her if nothing else. Be lovely.
There you go. Okay, feigning concern. I like this story. I saw this today and it sort of popped up. And I thought, as I read it, yes, this is what women do.
Hang on.
What?
Not all women.
No, I know. I was going to qualify that. Not all women. But what I did, but as I read it, I thought this is interesting. This is the idea that basically you can have a good old gossip about someone. You can essentially say things about people that aren't particularly nice. You can potentially nudge towards a judgment of them by essentially feigning concern and saying you're worried about them.
This article, this psychologist set up, didn't she, a kind of a test where she used an actress,
almost like a honey trap,
infiltrate an office situation, and she dressed very sexily, and she was chatting to the women, and she was saying how she was hungover because she got a bit pissed last night and she slept with two guys.
Yeah, so she drops some tidbits of kind of gossip about herself,
and then they got her to do a same story, but not sexily dressed, with another group of women, didn't they? To see the way that the gossip was then passed on.
Yeah,
and the gossip
I was going to say inseminated, but I meant disseminated.
I don't know, I'm confused.
Yeah,
everyone's just thinking about sperm now.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
And horrifyingly, the news, when it was given in a nastier way, wasn't it, to the woman, about the woman when she was dressed in sexily. And this was all put down by this psychologist, by this scientific experiment. You should have seen scientists underneath that article in the Times slagging it off, actually, saying, "Oh,
it was a very situational sort of thing."
Yeah, how good was the actress? They were saying,
yeah, exactly.
But the point being that what she was surmising from this is that women, when they feel threatened, their position threatened, whether that be looks wise or whatever, is that they will go into this gossip. Now, the gossip can be very powerful because to have gossip puts you in a hierarchy. Actually, the people with gossip are often the people that other people will go to. And as we've said before on here, isn't it? There's fun gossip. Oh my God, have you heard? Oh, they were snogging out. There's that kind of gossip.
Yeah.
Then there's very manipulative gossip. And then there's this super clever manipulative gossip, which is, God, did you see? I mean, have you chatted to that woman, the new one over there? I'm worried about her.
She's out every night, you know.
I'm really worried about her. She had a hangover against it, and apparently she slept with 2 men.
Yeah, she doesn't know their names.
And the thing is, I mean, it's frightening, isn't it? I mean, she's putting herself in such danger, right? So a person that gossips like that brings themselves more power because they're not being nasty than the person that might go, God, what an old slapper.
Well, no. But
she's got pissed again last night and slept with 2 blokes.
But what I noticed about the actual so-called scientific experiment is that if a woman, or if in these groups a woman shares this information in this feigned concerned fashion, they become less judged or they become less marginalized, don't they? So it's in the imparting, the best way to actually sink the knife in a sense, is to feign concern and do it with this. Now, this is the bread and butter of trolling. This is where trolling has gone to. This is what
trolls do.
And the reason they've gone to it is because the algorithm is sensitive enough to pull out direct attacks or direct assaults. Not always, not in DMs and stuff like that, but it can pretty much moderate and get round clearly offensive language. But what happens instead is there's always a feigned interest or a feigned concern.
I get some of that kind of trolling. I don't get a lot of trolling. I get very little trolling. I'm lucky. But when I do around Palestine, it's a lot of that. Now, at the beginning, it was just vicious, nasty, calling me a terrorist sympathizer and all of this sort of stuff. But now it's moved on a bit. So now it will go, God, you used to be so much fun. I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
You know, are you okay?
Yeah.
It's that sort of shit. And like, just take a chill. And you go, oh, chill pill. Oh, you've shown yourself there. Take a little chill pill, should I?
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh.
But also,
I've been in showbiz for fucking 40 years. You can't play that game with me without me seeing it straight away.
YouTube says gaslight trolling. I mean, every single one of those phrases is soaked in malice. It's so obvious and you can feel it. I just like with those kind of comments, you want to go back with the same kind of, saccharine concern. I'm so concerned you feel concerned. I'm so sorry.
But I tell you what I'm going to do. I don't want you worrying. So I think the best thing I can do is just give you a little block.
Yeah.
But again, I get really anxious around this sort of stuff and about women because every Loose Women on our 25th anniversary, thank you for all your lovely comments about the photo. Every single loose woman will tell you that every single interview they have ever done, they are asked whether we bitch with each other, how nasty it is after us when we have an argument on air, and that will never, ever, ever be asked of a man or 2 men if they were the loose men when they do these loose men things. Do they ever say to them, do you argue, do you bitch?
But I would never. It's interesting because when I read this, I thought this must be the preserve of women. I'm going to see Lee Durrant, you say men do this too. Of course, nothing is ever fixed.
Do they do it in a no? But that's quite a good thing. Would you ever do it in that way?
Absolutely not.
Where you would say you're worried and you weren't.
No, and that's where I mean, and I suppose because I was so certain that I wouldn't, and I've never had conversations ever in my life with another man where one's sort of tiptoeing around a judgment in a so-called polite way. We'll just go, is she all right? Has she got a bit of a fucking problem?
Yeah, I mean, I do.
Is she not feeling, or someone, literally, so say in that scenario with the woman in the office, you might, some unrehabilitated men would go, oh, she's a bit of a flooz. But someone else, if they were concerned, would go, God, do you think you should maybe have say to a female colleague, maybe have a word with her because I'm worried about her. I mean,
in this article, it says, men's aggression is in a very different way. So yes. I don't think it's necessarily saying that women are more aggressive, or men are more aggressive. It's just that we have different ways of being aggressive. Mickey
Moose just said men just wouldn't pry like that. You're right. I don't think men are interested in going into things like that. I tell you, one of the things that does happen for men as well, men just don't understand a lot of female conversations. You can walk into a situation and not know quite where the dynamic is or where the joke is or where kind of situation.
I forgot. I've saved the most brilliant Instagram post for this exact conversation, so we'll do that tomorrow. Right. Remind me, because that is. I thought of you when I saw it. I thought Mark's going to love this because it goes like this, doesn't it? Yeah. Women's conversation.
But then what sometimes happens in those situations, someone will look at you in that situation, and you're meant to have kept step with everything, and you're like,
we all go.
Well,
What do you mean you don't understand?
Yeah, but also the problem for the man is it's not about just having whatever your natural responses to what you've just heard is. You're thinking, who am I going to let down? Who am I going to disappoint? Who am I going to offend?
Kiki is so funny because Kiki goes, I really love it when men are really confused and don't know what they're supposed to say.
Well, she said it in the car today about this. So I said I did not understand what was going on, who was, and Kiki went, yeah, and it was really funny. I was like,
what was funny?
My confusion. We had a confused moment the other day where I didn't understand the conversation that was going on about something, and I walked into it completely perplexed, walking into a room with 5 women who go silent suddenly. This is it. They go silent suddenly. It's like walking in. It's like being a hostage. It's the most hit. They should do it on SAS. Who dares wins?
We were watching
Try and
that
negotiate
last night.
5 women who suddenly go quiet that you have different relationships with, and work out what the situation is. It's petrifying.
Oh, that's a good one.
Cam Hayes, I have 2 sisters. They usually ring me when they need a blunt opinion if their girlfriends are beating around the bush.
Well, I am literally known as the person that I put absolute fear and terror into people because I say, I'm going to be honest. So maybe I'm a bit like you, Cam. This is the same for the bosses at work. I go, can I be honest? They go, oh my God, no. I have that bluntness of a man, don't I? You must admit.
But no one can be blunt with you.
Right.
I mean, no one can be blunt with you.
If you are not up to being as blunt as me.
Hang on, don't throw this on a double track back. I can't be blunt with you.
You're trying to play a game.
I am not playing a game. I'm stating a fact. I can't be blunt with you about anything. Literally.
Your failings are not my problem.
Hang on a minute. Being blunt with you isn't about my failings.
You just said you can't be blunt. What do you mean?
Oh my God. Oh my God. I would love to be, but if I was, it's nuclear breakdown. So in fact, one compromises and just goes, oh, I won't say anything. Yeah. But you don't mind that. I'd hate that.
He's so
That's all I'm saying.
Mark, don't. It's too much.
Here we go.
People haven't come here. They have these arguments with their own partners.
Yeah, they love. That's what they find relatable, isn't it, guys? Anyway, on that note, looking forward to. Well, I don't know if I am looking forward to watching Phillips Schofield justify.
Well, you know what? Again, I'm thinking of, and I don't care if it was illegal and misjudged. I'm thinking of the victims in this, the colleagues, the family, the friends, and the young man that was in question. That's what I'm thinking about, because it stirs it all up for all of them, you know? So we will be reviewing it live afterwards. What time is it on? 9
o'clock.
Oh my God, everything's on at 9. Mum and Dad, Married at First Sight.
I know, we didn't do a Mum and Dad or a Married at First Sight last week. We'll catch up.
Our kids are going to kill us.
Yeah.
Oh no, they want to watch it anyway. So we'll be doing a live afterwards.
Take care, guys. Lots